from the diary of my Grandma Fanny.
February 14th, 1942. Today we had a workers' meeting and I cleaned the downstairs. I helped chop and strip tobacco. Time for another Cheat Meal Monday. Fix It and Forget It Cookbook by Phyllis Pellman Good. I want to do a small retraction on my Thursday's Thrifty Thursday. I got one of her books and I thought she was no longer living, but I'm happy to report she is alive and well. I got her mixed up with Marcia Adams, which is another one of my authors and cooks, but Marcia Adams sadly passed away. So let's get started. If you have this cookbook, we're going to go on page 267. It's called The Meal in One. Now I'm also going to change the recipe a little bit. That's how I usually am with most of my recipes. I will adapt them to what I have here on the homestead. So I don't always have the ingredients that they have listed. So we're going to get started. It calls for 2 pounds of ground beef, 1 onion, 1 green pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1 large bag of hashed brown potatoes, 16 ounces of sour cream, 24 ounces of cottage cheese, and 1 cup of Monterey Jack shredded cheese. I'm changing it. So follow along with me and I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it. So we're going to get a big bowl and we're going to put all of our shredded potatoes in it. Now it just says 1 big bag, so I do not know what 1 big bag is, but this one is a 2.5 pound bag, which is going to give a lot of potatoes. But one thing about these potatoes are, when they cook in the crock pot, they will go down to about half the size. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm adding 1 cup of Velveeta cheese. This was frozen. This was cheese sauce that is frozen. And I'm going to add 1 can of cheddar cheese soup. I'm going to add 1 can of cheddar cheese soup to that. Now this isn't going to mix up totally in the bowl like this. It's just to get it started. What I will do is I will mix it as it's in the crock pot. And then it calls for 16 ounces of sour cream. Now I'm only going to use half that because I am the condensed cream soup. So I'm only using half of that. Alright, so now we're going to mix it all together. And we mix it as good as we possibly can. And like I said, we will be mixing it better once it gets heated up and it starts liquefying a little bit. To that we're going to add, it says 2 pounds of ground beef. Now for me, ground beef is expensive, so I'm only adding 1 pound of ground beef. My ground beef was sauteed with the peppers and it was sauteed with the onion. This is a meal that children love, this meal, and adults. It's one of those comfort foods. As you know, most of my meals are comfort meals. And I love casseroles and I love crock pot meals. That's my favorite because I don't like being in the kitchen all day long. Now if it's still dry an hour after it's in the crock pot, you can add like a cup of milk to it, but I tend not to do anything until it's heated up. So now we're going to add our ground beef that's sauteed with the peppers and the onions. Now it did call for cottage cheese. I don't have cottage cheese, so we're going to do it this way. But I will read the recipe once again after I get it in the crock pot. So that is what it looks like. So good. I make this all the time. And each time I make it, it's different. So it's never the same. And what I'm going to do is we're going to have peas on the side so we have a green vegetable. Alright, so we're going to put it in our crock pot. Now this is a roaster and a crock pot all in one. Now this could be put in the Instapot, but I like having it in the crock pot all day because we're not going to be eating for a couple hours. So I like having it in the crock pot. My friends, it's that simple. This is great for potluck. This is great to take on anything on a picnic. So all we do is we put the lid on it and we set it for, I set this on low for 4 hours. And then halfway through it, it says you can sprinkle shredded cheese on it. That's totally up to you. I'll probably sprinkle some cheese on it halfway through. So we're going to get this in the crock pot. And we are going to put it on for 4 hours on low. Or it could be probably 2 hours on high. Alright, so we have it on low, and in 4 hours I'll get back to you, and by the magic of the camera you're going to see what it looks like right after this. I'm going to read the recipe once again. It's called Meal in One by Fix It and Forget It, the Big Cookbook. This is a bunch of her cookbooks all in one. Page 267. This makes 6 to 8 servings. Prep time is 25 minutes. Cooking time is 4 hours. 2 pounds of ground beef, 1 onion, 1 green pepper, and 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper sauteed together. Add that to 1 large bag of frozen hash brown potatoes, 16 ounces of sour cream, and 24 ounces of cottage cheese, and 1 cup of Monterey Jack cheese. I substituted with 1 pound of ground beef, sauteed in the onion and green pepper, the salt and pepper. I added 1 large bag of hash browns. I added 8 ounces of sour cream, 1 can of cheddar cheese soup, 1 cup of Velveeta cheese, and I will add maybe a half a cup of cheddar cheese halfway through the cooking process. And I'm back, and it's 4 hours later and our meal is finished. So I'm going to share with you a little bit what came in the mail while my food was cooking. Thanks to a very good friend and supporter, Allison. Allie gave me some of these cherry peppers that are stuffed with provolone cheese and some of her Italian bread. So this is going to be great to go with what we're eating today. So let's get it out and let's dish it up because I'm hungry. 4 hours later, here is our gourmet potato and ground beef casserole. Let's plate it all up and get it all ready. This is a Wonder Crock Pot meal. Very frugal. And it's a great cheat meal Monday. So let's get some of the peas because we need a little bit of color in our meal. Perfect addition for a cheat meal Monday. Take care, everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Now that's a cheat meal Monday, fit for a king. Yummy.
Hey everyone, here's some other videos I thought you might enjoy. See you tomorrow!